Okay, Siman Shinun base, two seifim. Hakir sefer v'nisgalgal mishus l'rishus. Someone is reading a sefer, and it rolls away. Now, a sefer in those days, we're not talking about a book, right? We're talking about like a picture of Megillas Esther or a picture of Sefer Torah, which is on a cloth, and you're holding one part, and it's rolling down. If you've got the Dirshu one, if you look at the next page. You've got the Dirshu one. You've got a picture over here of a fellow. This is the next case. This is Sif Beis. He's sitting on a roof. And he's got this cloth and it's rolling down. So Sif Aleph is talking about where he's sitting on an askupa, he's sitting on the doorstep, on the threshold, and Sif Beis is talking about where this guy is reading from a sefer on top of a roof. So let's go through. So Siman Shinun Beis Aleph Haker b'sefer al haskupa. So he's reading a sefer on the doorstep. V'nisgalgal rosh ha'echad me'asefer miyodei, and one end of the sefer rolls away from him. V'nisha reish hasheni biyodei, but he's holding on to the other part. He's allowed to roll it back towards him. Even if it's gone quite far, it's gone beyond the Arba Amas. Even if it's extended into Rishus Harabim, and the Askupa is in Bishus HaYochid, the Mishnah Berurah is going to change that too. The Askupa is a Rishus HaYochid, right? Because it's got the dimensions of Rishus HaYochid. Then I'm sitting on a Rishus HaYochid, and I'm reading my sefer, and it rolls out into Rishus Harabim, I'm allowed to roll it back. We'll see why. Mishum bizoyin kisvei kodesh itiru, a special dispensation Chazal gave a bizoyin for kisvei kodesh to let it sort of be left, disrespectfully in the Rishus Harabim. They allowed you to roll it back. Says the Ramah, the Rabbim darsi al askufa, because many people will walk on this askufa. V'davka kisvei kodesh. The whole hetzah is for kisvei kodesh. Avol b'shad dvarim also afilu lenoflu el lekarmelis. And but anything else, even if it only falls into a karmelis and not into Rishus Harabim, Chazal did not allow you to draw it back. Okay, so if you're not reading a sefer, you're reading something else, and it rolls out even into a karmelis, you will not be allowed to roll it back. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Hakayr b'sefer, Sif Cotton Aleph. Calls from Shalehem Asuim Begillion Kasefer Torah Shalono, like we described. Al Haskupa, Hainu. Afilo is Rishus HaYochid. Even if the Askupa itself is Rishus HaYochid, Kugain, She Gevaya Asora Tfachim. It's 10 Tfachim tall. V'Reichav Arba Tfachim. It's 4 Tfachim wide. Ulefoneo Lechez Rishus Harabim. And you've got a Rishus Harabim abutting it. I might have thought that you're not allowed to roll the sefer back to you because maybe this is the whole problem, maybe the whole sefer will fall into the Rishus Harabim, and you'll come to pick it up, and then you've done a proper havara. You've done a loch of haitzah. You've taken it from the Rishus Harabim back into the Rishus HaYochid. It's like the shom ikachi of chatzas bezeh. It's the deraisa kamash melon the loy gozun bezeh. Why mishum bizoyin kisvei kodesh? Because of the disgrace to kisvei kodesh, we allow you to do it when it has not yet fallen from your hands. Because the whole gezerah is in case it has fallen, but in a situation where it's still in your hands, it's only it's a gezerah, and we're not gozer for kisvei kodesh. For after mavur b'seif beis. Even though we'll get to Psif Beis, where you're sitting on a roof, and next to you or next to the house, you've got the Rishus Harabim. In the next Sif, we'll see that if you're sitting on the roof and the scroll, the sefer rolls down, and it goes there, we are gozer in certain situations. So what's the difference? The reason is because in the askupa it's much lower to the ground, and there lots of people walk across it, like the Ramah said, and therefore there's much more of a concern that there'll be a bizoyin for kisvei kodesh, and therefore that's why they allowed you in the Sif Aleph to bring it back, Masha Enkein in Sif Beis, which is the roof, we're less concerned. Okay, Sif Cotton Gimel. So you're reading it on the Askupa, and it rolls down into the Rishus Harabim or to the next Rishus, and it settles on the ground. Because if it's hanging in the air, even a little bit, then it's not considered fallen onto the ground. There's no concern. The whole concern is if the end of your ksav, of your sefer, has fallen onto the ground. Because then we make Chazal say, if it's fallen onto the ground, if it's left your hand and it's properly on the ground, you might come to pick it up and do a deraisa. So, for normal things, Chazal make a gzer, you're not allowed to roll it back. For Kisvei Kodesh, they allow you to roll it back. But if it's hanging in the air, it's still suspended in the air, then even for other things there's no problem. The problem is only when it's actually on the ground. Okay. Sif Kotzen Dalet, Afilu Niskalgel, Gam Kein Mutter Liglo HaSeifer Etzlei, V'loi Chashin Dilma Osi La'akuli La'asui Ha'arba Amas. And we're not choishesh that you might come to bring it Arba Amas. Afilu Heicha Denofel Kulam Yoda De Ike Sur Deraisa, even if that could involve an Issa Deraisa. Afilu B'Shus Rabim, the V'davke Heicha De Tzod Echod Oigde B'Yoda, again where he's holding on to one end of it. Ha'im Nofel Gam Reish Hashem Nilaretz. But if the other half fell, and therefore the whole thing is now on the ground, even if it fell into a caramelist, you can't pull it back, because going from a caramelist to a shayachid is a drabanan. And even though you could argue, hey, it's a drabanan, you've got a sefer on the floor, it's in a caramelist, and bringing it back into a rishayachid is a drabanan. And therefore, Mishum Bizoyin Kisvei Kodesh, actually it's okay, because Mishum Bizoyin Kisvei Kodesh, I'm allowed to drop on them. Still, once it's fallen on the ground, Chazal don't allow it. Bishus Hayochid, Tzarech Lema Rishus Hayochid, like I said above. Mishum Bizoyin, the Midaraisa Im Zorak Dovel Rishus Rabim, V'Reish Hasheni B'Yodeh. Because, Minat Torah, if I throw something into Rishus Rabim, and I'm still holding on to the other end, let's say a rope or something, I'm allowed to bring it back. There was no hanocha. Since I'm holding on to the other end, there's no hanocha there. And I can always pull it back. That which I pull it back and I raise it up in the it's not called an akira. Where it falls properly on the ground. And therefore from bizayin here, Chazal allowed it. Now, the Rabbi, what's the chiluk? Because people walk on this askupa. Says the Mishnah Berurah, the Rabbim darsu v'ikah bizayin tvei. And since lots of people are going to be walking there, there's going to be a bizayin on Kisvei HaKodesh. They'll walk over this farm. Avol b'shah, with other things, they won't allow it. Hainunami afilu kasheresha echad nisha b'yodei also levi etzlei. But with other things, even if you're holding on to one end, the Chazal didn't allow you to pull it back. They only allowed it because of bizoyin kisvei kodesh. Ela lekarmelis v'hatam the gam zeh gozrin shem yipa legamri ala oretz afilu hochi v'yenu eslo. Even if it's going into a karmelis, Chazal will geyser, you might bring it back. V'da sheyesh kama achronim shemekilim b'zeh. There are many achronim who are mekil from a karmelis. Mikol mokum near the b'shus rabim shelonu ein lahakel. In our Rishus Rabim we should not be mekil to come and poskim sovereign, because many poskim are of the opinion the gam etzleinu yesh Rishus Rabim deraisa uchadel el b'siman shin mem hey seif Zion. Okay, very good. Let's go. Okay, Sif base. Let's just finish off. Hayukari Belagag. So now he's reading from a roof. Hayukari Belagag. V'niskalgel Roisho He'echod Miyodei. And now the sefer he's reading from falls down. It sort of unscrolls. Al Chelo Higia La'asor Tfachim. But it hasn't reached 10 Tfachim from the ground. So it's higher than 10 Tfachim. Hakrevim la'aretz, goydeloi etzlei. So then he can bring it back to him. So if you've got the Dirshu one, you've got a nice picture there. He's sitting on top of his roof, and it's rolled down. So if it's rolled down and it's higher than 10 tvachim, goydeloi etzlei. Let's just do the Mishnah Berurah on that. Alagag, Mairi, begag shel Rishus Hayochid. Hayelefon of Rishus Rabim, and then next to him you've got the Rishus Rabim. Because if it hasn't yet gone into 10 tefachim from the ground, it's still above 10 tefachim, it's gone into a mokum patur, so there's no problem. Valkain, go to le'etzlei, you can roll it back, you can roll it back to you. Go le'etzlei, va'afilim hayo kaisa b'habayis m'shupa v'nochalav, even if there's a slant on the house and it's resting on that, or it's resting on some other projected item or something, doesn't matter. Or b'chol zeh mutlu kulam afilu b'shad dvarim she'enim kisvei kodesh k'goyin she'biyod sodin v'niskad l'reisho echad miyod d'lemala me'asor tfachim ein shem chashash mishum Rishus Rabim. So, for example, if a tablecloth has fallen off the roof, you're holding on to one end. So long as it hasn't reached 10 tfachim from the ground, you could pull it back, no problem, because you're going from a mokum patur to Rishus Yochid, no problem. Now, however, carrying on the Mechaba, Higia la'asor tefachim atachtonim. However, if it goes within 10 tefachim of the ground, then it depends. Im ha'kaisel meshupa be'inyan she'nochalov. If the side wall is slanting, so that the sefer that you're reading is resting on that she'nochalov, then also legoyle etzlei, then you cannot sort of retract it. You can't bring it back. Or chedei shelo yomal bebizayin hoifchal ksav. So what you can do is, if it's a sefer, you can turn it over so that the ksav shouldn't be exposed to the open. You should turn it around so that the back of the klaf is exposed. Kol zman shelo yagiel la'aretz go le'ezlo. But if it's not meshupa, then kol zman shelo yagiel la'aretz go le'ezlo. Then you can always bring it back, so long as it hasn't reached the ground. So if you look at your two pictures, the first picture. So again, what's Sif Bey saying? If you're sitting on a roof and you're reading a sefer, if you're sitting on the roof and it hasn't reached 10 tefachim or anything, even non-sefer, even a tablecloth or anything else, then you can always pull it back because you're going from a mokum patur, it's higher than 10 tefachim, and you're going to Rosh Yachid, no problem. But if it goes within 10 tefachim, then it depends. If the roof is meshupa, is slanted, then you can't bring it back. Also l'go le'eslei. But if it's not slanted, it's a straight roof and a straight wall. On the side, and it goes down even within 10 tefachim. So long as it hasn't hit the ground, you're allowed to pull it back. Okay, so that we'll see. Says Mishnah Berurah. In Makaisel Meshupa Sif Katan Yud Gimel Rod Solema Da'oz Havi Kamunach Reish Echad Ala Aretz. Because then, if it's Meshupa, it's as if one end of the scroll of the ksav is on the ground. And therefore, if you're makel, in the case of where the wall is meshupa, there is a chashash, maybe the whole thing will fall. So if it's meshupa, then it's considered that the ksav is resting on the floor, and therefore we always gazer when it's resting on the floor that the whole thing might fall and you might come to bring from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Yochid. There's always that concern. Shenoch olav v'davka k'sherabim makasvim olav halav hochi have a caramelis, because if people don't bat it, then it's got to do a caramelis for giving the ina biyodoi the biyodoi, since you're still holding it shori la'avir etzlo b'kisvei hakodesh t'kula alma v'ayim be'alocha. So if people if it's got a din of a caramelis because because people are not rubbing on it, they're not sort of walking past it, then it's got a din of a caramelis, then you would be able to bring it back. I'll summarize in a second. Shelo hagia ba'aretz, says the Mishnah Berurah Tesvav, va'afilu yesh rak k'molei machat beino levein aretz. Even if it's in the next case where you've got a straight wall where it's not meshupa, but so long as it hasn't reached the ground, even by a tiny amount, kivin shlei noch mamish al aretz v'toli ba'avir lo mikri hanocha v'go leslei. It's not called hanocha, and you can retract it. But dafka b'kisvei hakodesh makilim, we dafka mekel for kisvei kodesh. Av b'shad dvarim, but with other things. Kol she'agia la'avir ha'asor tfachim shu avir rabim. Once it's within 10 tefachim of the ground, then afshlei noch, even if it hasn't rested, also lo v'yetzlei to gozrin and shema yipol kulei la'aretz, because with geyser maybe the whole thing would have fallen to the ground. V'yova gamkein lasu yetzlei v'yesh mekilim is, and there are those who are maker v'chol zeh ba'avir rabim. This is in the airspace of rabim. Avalim nofel avir hakarmelis, if it goes into the avir hakarmelis, mutar kula amal avir yetzlei kimin sha'igda adayim biyod, if you're still holding on to it. Go le'etzlei, you roll it back. But v'yagroch chelik al zeh d'chol shegia teich shleishes somach la'aretz choshev kumunach la'aretz. The Gan says that anything within 3 tefachim of the ground is considered munach halaretz v'ayim be'alacha. So just to summarize, in Shin Nun base, the first sif says your korea seif al askufo, you're sitting on an askufo. The second sif we're talking about, you're sitting on a roof. In the first sif, when you're sitting on an askufo, which has got a status of possibly Rosh Yochid, then we say that if it's galgal rosh echod me'aseifa miyodei, and you're holding on to it, you can roll it back for kisvei hakodesh. A special halacha for kisvei kodesh, you're allowed to roll it back, but anything else not. Okay. Why the concern is that once it's on the ground, you might come to carry it. You might let go of the bit you're holding on to, and if it's on the ground and you carry it back, that's a deraisa. So Chazal will go there that if even if you're still holding on to one end and it's on the ground, they will go there. However, for Kisvei Kodesh, they will not go there. That's Sif Aleph. Sif Beis is you're on top of a roof. There, the situation is as follows. If the sefer unravels and it goes down, if it's higher than 10 tefachim, you can bring it back. And in fact, you can bring anything back, because it's going from a mokum patur to a Rosh Yochid, no problem. If it goes within 10 tefachim, it depends. If it's meshupa, then it's considered as if it's on the ground and you can't bring it back. Yeah. Even kisvei kodesh, all you got to do is flip it around so that it's not exposed, the ksav is not exposed. And if it's a straight wall, then you're allowed to bring it back so long as it hits the ground with all the details. I hope you better stop there. Okay, say that.